Hey everyone, it's James from Palmer Hamilton Fab Labs. Today I'm going to show you how to make a funnel for your LC40 laser. So we are in Tinkercad, that's what we're going to be using for this. And I have already made one, but we are just going to redesign it. As you can see, this is what the funnel will look like at the end if all goes well. So we're going to delete that. Now we're going to go over here. I'm going to pull a cone onto the plane. As you can see, the cone is very small. I'm going to change the dimensions to 100 by 100 and by 100. So now we have a large cone. Now, as you can see, it's a pretty rough looking cone. It's very blocky. So what I'm going to do next is we are going to increase the sides of the cone. And that's over here. We're going to slide this bar over to 64 sides. And look at that. It is actually much smoother. Now, after that, I'm going to duplicate the cone by either hitting Control D, or you can go over here, duplicate and repeat. I like doing Control D because it's right by my fingertips. Next thing we're going to do is make this hollow. So we're going to make it a hole, and then we have to make this smaller than the solid shape because we are going to hollow out the solid shape. I put it to 95 by 95 by 95. You can do whatever you would like with it. It just depends on the thickness of it. So that's going to make it a 5 millimeter thickness. So then I'm going to use my align tool. I have both objects selected. I'll use my align tool, and we're just going to center this. And then if we look underneath, we can see that it's centered. Next thing we're going to do is group it, and we should see that it hollows out the cone. Now that we have the cone hollow, we are going to add our little nozzle. So we're just going to pull a cylinder over. I'm going to keep the cylinder at the standard height and width and measurements, and then I'm going to pull the cylinder off by 80. The reason why I chose 80 is because we're going to put it right at the tip of the cone, and I can't believe I might have just got it perfectly centered, but we're just going to check by aligning it, and I didn't. I was way off. I lied. Alright, so now it is centered. We are going to duplicate that, and then, just like we did with the cone, we're going to make this a hole. And again, we need to make this smaller, except we're going to keep the height because this time we want a hole through the middle of this. Now, an error that I might run into, and I'm not 100% sure we'll see, is that I might have to make that hole bigger. We're going to center that hole because I don't know if that hole will cut all the way through. It looks like it will, but let's see. Now that the hole is centered, we're going to group it together, and voila, we have our funnel. But as you can see, what I didn't do was smooth out the top there. But that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect, but that's something you need to think about when you do it. If I needed to fix it, I could just go back and undo. I can do this, increase the sides by 64. Same thing with my hole because I want my hole to be smooth. And then we just line it up again. It's lined up, and we group, and problem solved. Thanks for watching the video. This LC40 funnel is for your LC40 laser, so that you can pour water into the hex box without having any issues of water spilling into the hex box and damaging electronics. All right, Have fun tinkering.